Hello and welcome to the regular meeting of the East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors. My name is Corey Meyer and I'm the chairman. I want to inform all participants after this meeting that this meeting is being recorded. Due to the COVID-19 virus and Governor Wolf's recent orders limiting indoor gatherings, in-person attendance for this meeting is being limited to a maximum of 25 people. We'll be observing social distancing. Additionally, based upon the order of the Secretary of Health regarding face coverings, all participants in the public meeting room are required to wear a face covering unless they fit into one of the order's exceptions. When speaking while maintaining social distance, participants may remove their face covering. Therefore, this meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. The Township is expecting to utilize this vehicle for all future public meetings during and after the COVID-19 crisis. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Will be posted on the front of the Township building. The Township will also be recording the meeting and making it available for viewing via the Township website and YouTube channel. While every effort will be made to ensure the live streaming and website are working, East Lampeter Township takes no responsibility for and cannot be held liable for the unavailability of live streaming in part or in full due to technical issues beyond its control. Live streams and recordings of all meetings remain the property of East Lampeter Township and are protected by copyright. Access to live streams and recordings of meetings are provided for personal and non-commercial use. Video, images, and audio must not be altered, reproduced, or republished without permission of East Lampeter Township. Joining me in the room while observing social distancing are Supervisor Dave Buckwater, Vice Chair John Blowers, Supervisor Ethan Demi. Joining me in the meeting via Zoom is Glenn Eberly. And Glenn, assuming you can still hear me?
Yes, sir.
And also participating to support the board and present in the meeting room is Ralph Hutchison, Township Manager. Okay. And suggest that all participants on Zoom mute their microphone during the meeting until they wish to speak, make a motion, or vote. All votes will be taken by roll call so they can be properly recorded. In order to accommodate public comments at this meeting, the Township will be accepting public comments in writing or via email. Instructions for the submission of public comments are available on the Township website. All those providing public comments will be required to provide their name and address in order for their comments to be read into the record. Inappropriate comments will not be read into the record. I want to remind everyone that the meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. We'll now proceed with the meeting agenda. Please join me in the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Meeting is called to order and we'll have public comment for non-agenda items only.
We have not received anything on email.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have a few items of note. We have approval of the minutes of the Monday, July 20th, 2020 public hearing. 4A. 4B, we have approval of the minutes the Monday, July 20th, 2020 regular meeting. C, we have approval to pay invoices from all funds. It's a total of $174,579.56. There's a few items of note. $19,359 even to Orchard Pump and Supply Company Incorporated for budgeted modifications to the Soudersburg pump station. $14,707.15 to Alpha Space Control Company Incorporated for roadway traffic line paving. D, financial security release for True Hotel, 1610-2310 Lincoln Highway East. Applicant has completed all required public improvements for the development. Township engineer has provided a letter indicating acceptance of the construction and recommending the release of the remaining financial security for those improvements. And then lastly, 4E, financial security reduction for Byler subdivision plan 1701, which is North Cherry Lane. Applicants completed some of the required public improvements. Township engineers provided a letter recommending the reduction of the financial security posted for this project, and it's listed the items which remain to be completed. John Blowers, you have the amount.
Here it is. Sorry. Is that 43?
Leaving a remaining balance of $43,208.90 for Cherry Lane. Gentlemen, we have the consent agenda. Accept the motion for the consent agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Motion was made by John, second by Ethan. Any other comments? Any public comment? Okay, I'll take a roll call vote. We'll do Glenn first.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, great. Dave?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have CV Middle School Project Financial Security. Phyllis, do you want to? In the room, we have Phil Fleischer, administrative.
Business administrator,
chief, something.
business
Yes.
chief, CEO, something.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Phyllis Heverly Flesher, Chief Financial Officer for CV School District. There we go. Just coming to you tonight, two reasons to kind of give you an update on where we are with the financial security for the middle school project, and then some possible action on your behalf. So we did a letter of credit for the Brownstown Elementary project about a year ago. Kind of thought we knew that process. Started into that process for the middle school project and have run into some roadblocks along the way related to the 10% escalator clause that you all have as part of the requirement. I should probably stop and just say that over the history that I've been with the district, both Mr. Hutchison and also Tara Hitchens have been really great to work with. I will echo that more in the last week. They have probably talked to me more than they've ever wanted to talk to me in the last week, but have just been great at trying to kind of problem solve this issue with us. So in the middle of getting tied up on the 10% escalator clause, had a couple of conversations in which my understanding is the way that that's intended to work is once we get a year into the project, we're going to come back, give some information to your engineers of what part has been complete, and then they'll issue a letter that will kind of say, okay, here's what the amount of the letter of credit would go down to. And at that point, and each year going forward, so after July of 2021, we would then calculate that 10% on top. And so if we go from the letter that DMA gave to us in June was for $6.7 million. If it would go down, and I'm making numbers up, but to 5.7 million next July, it would be 10% on top of that. And we'd continue to roll that forward until the project's complete. The bank that we're working with is actually telling us that despite my explanation, despite Mr. Hutchison's explanation, that 2 years of that escalator clause, so 20% of that dollar amount needs to be put onto the letter of credit up front. So that would take our $6.7 million letter of credit to an $8 million letter of credit. Not what we were expecting, not what the CV board approved in June. So frankly, we've been probably 5 weeks arguing back and forth and have kind of gotten to a point where we need to chase and cut and chase at this point. So in the process of the last couple of days, we've come up with an idea which you've actually talked about tonight to put an escrow account in place instead of doing the formal letter of credit with the bank. I will be honest with you, the board meetings are a little out of cycle, so I'm here first. My board doesn't meet till a week from tonight. So I can't come to you and say I can guarantee that it's going to go through. But the way I would personally be leaning and the way I'm going to recommend it to the CV board is that even though they've passed the resolution for the letter of credit with the bank in June, come back to them with an escrow agreement and ask them to approve that next Monday night to enter into that sort of arrangement with you instead of the letter of credit. I think Mr. Hutchison and I agree it would just be easier for all parties involved if we do it that way. We would still anticipate on some sort of periodic basis coming back to you and asking for portions of that to be released. Right. Obviously, it's a sizable chunk of money on our behalf. You know, but we can kind of go through that, you know, as time goes on. So really, we kind of have two options, that one that I'm leaning towards but can't guarantee. The other one would be if you would be willing to basically waive the escalator, the 10% clause that you have in place. That would give us sort of a backup that should something fall apart and our bond counsel, the township solicitor, have both already put eyes on a template escrow agreement. So it's not the one that we would all sign off on. But I feel like it has enough in it that we can kind of make an educated judgment as to whether or not we would agree to it. So things sort of seem to be pointing in that direction. But just to give us some protection that if we have to go to a different route, which in this case, frankly, we'll be probably working with a different bank, that we won't get stuck again with that 10% escalator. So the two asks would be, one, to ask you to waive that 10%. I think unlike a lot of other folks that come before you, we're a government entity, we're your neighbor, we're not going to go anywhere. I'm not sure if I picked up and moved where I would actually go. So, you know, I think we're going to be here for the long haul. So it's a little bit of a different situation, hopefully, than you would face with other folks. And then also just making you aware that probably what is going to happen is come back and have an escrow agreement instead to present for you for your approval. So
Staff is okay with that approach of a waive of the 10% and then come back with the escrow, or?
Our preference would be the reverse, that we start with the escrow.
Okay.
If for some reason that fails, then the
Right.
backup plan would be
right.
the letter of credit without
Okay.
the escalator.
So we could make a motion essentially asking the solicitors to work together with the intent of approving. I mean, we don't have anything, there's some sort of template. That
Correct.
the
Yes. And
solicitor-
we're only asking for you to waive the escalator to give us a backup plan. So we would also be going down the escrow route first,
Right.
but was just thinking I wouldn't have to come back to you again if it doesn't work out for you that way. That's fine too.
And when's the next school board meeting?
It's on the 10th. It's
Okay.
on a week from tonight.
Right, and then we have another meeting the 17th,
Correct.
right? So,
And if you're comfortable waiting, knowing that we've been fighting this since literally the middle of June, I mean, but I feel like in all honesty, we need to let that be your decision, not ours.
Yeah, we prefer to move it along from a
Right.
staff's perspective. They're
Right.
also in the process of getting the plan recorded.
Yeah.
And we want to have the financial security in place before the plan gets recorded. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's all sort of lining up.
yeah,
that
frankly,
way.
I'm all for efficiency in meetings, meaning if we can, you know, approve something tonight, so you can then get the school board to approve what they need to do and then not have to come back, or, you know, clearly there's going to be some conversation with the solicitors to work something out. And I'm assuming we would then have to actually approve that final agreement. Or are you thinking we can word this in a way that
Yeah, if
staff can work towards that? And
the board's comfortable saying that, you know, it would be an agreement approved by the township solicitor,
Yeah.
then that's the way I would approach it.
Okay.
But if you want it to come back at your next meeting, that's
No,
fine too.
I realize I'm probably going to have to come in and sign something, but,
Yes.
but I'm doing that based on the you know, the solicitor reviewing it and making sure that all of our bases are covered, but, and that's fine. So, yeah, I'm all for efficiency if we can get this done. I don't think CV School District is going anywhere
Nope.
in a bad way. But,
So do we need to actually take any action then? Aren't the solicitors already in these conversations and they're already having a discussion between the staff? And
Right. I think assuming that the escrow agreement works out, you know, the solicitors agree and the language is fine and they're all good with that. you wouldn't need any particular action. You already authorized the financial security. The issue would be, the backup plan would be if for some reason that fails, then the district is asking you to waive the 10% escalator clause, which is the normal in our ordinance, for their project, so that they can post financial security in the form of a letter of credit that doesn't include the escalator clause. So that's the motivation for having some action tonight, is sort of just in case we need to go to Plan B.
Okay. Someone want to word that motion in such a way that
I could take a stab at it.
Go ahead.
I make a motion to direct staff to work with our solicitor as well as the Conestoga Valley School District solicitor to work on an escrow account, and if that doesn't work, to waive the 10% escalator fee for a line of credit, a letter of credit.
10% contingent. I'll reword that as
Contingency.
10% contingency and escrow agreement. That's okay.
Yep.
Is that
It is actually called an escalator clause.
escalator clause? Okay. I'll pull that suggestion out and we'll go with that. Does everyone understand what Ethan suggested? Is that
That works for me.
Me too.
what we discussed? Okay. Motion has been made.
Second.
Second by John. Any other comments from the board members? Any comments from the public? Nothing? Much?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. We'll do a roll call vote. Glenn?
Aye.
Okay. Dave?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ethan?
Aye.
And Chair, aye. Thank you. Yeah, motion passes.
I just want to say thank you. Again, Hutch and Tara have been great to work with. Hopefully you all know that we as the school district are here to work with you as well, and really appreciate you working with us through this. It's not been an easy 5 or 6 weeks. So thank you.
When are we looking at, Phyllis, what are we looking at as potential groundbreaking?
So they have started to move some of the dirt. One of the first things that is happening is to have an access road so we can really start some of the construction. So we've been using the entrance off of Mount Sydney, and if you've been out that roadway, you know it's not necessarily conducive to some heavier traffic. So as soon as we have everything in place, I think we got the last 4 or 5 comments from DMA today. And so we're planning to respond to those. That stuff's going to come back through Planning Commission and you for signature this month yet. And then it's going to be,
So construction entrance is going to be off of Mount Sydney?
no, it's actually going to be off of, we call it Pritchard Way, the small access road between the middle school and the high school. Yeah.
So enter off of Horseshoe, turn left onto that.
Or Mount
Pritchard.
Sydney and come into that access road. And then we can either make, if you come off of Mount Sydney, obviously to the left off of Horseshoe, it would be a right. That doesn't mean we won't be using the upper Mount Sydney access
Up on top
over
of
the
that.
speed bumps, but it'll sort of be able to give us a place where we have a little bit wider pathway.
Yeah, because that's as we know, we talked about that.
Yeah, it's a
That is
tight
a
farm lane.
Tough, tight area there.
And it does call for us to do some work once we're done. So, we do need to make sure that we take care of those things. But yeah, it's going to be moving along. So.
Opening when?
So at this point, we had planned for it to be able to be opened mid-year. So not obviously this year, 2021, but in the 2022. So January of 2022. The construction schedule, as we're looking at it now with COVID and everything else that has happened, is pushing us actually past that date into more of a spring timeframe. I will be honest with you, and I don't think I'm saying anything that hasn't been said multiple times before. I don't know that the district was prepared to kind of open the building mid-year anyway. Getting that spring opening would give us the summer to kind of make sure all the systems come up well, get the furniture in, do a little bit softer move in than maybe we would have anticipated otherwise. But that doesn't mean that there may not be some tightening in the schedule and we may not be ready. So sometime between January 2022 and August 2022 is when we're expecting to be done at this point.
Students would start the school
And students would
year
start the August 22,
22, 23.
23. Mhm.
And
Yes.
then what happens with Smoketown then?
Well, we have to renovate the existing middle school first. So we actually have not started the planning design process of that. We did a very rudimentary sketch through the building to but much time has passed since we did that originally. I think we presented it to the board in May of 2017. So we need to go back through, take a look at that and get that schedule. And then from there, we'll be able to determine what we're going to do with Smoketown. The board has not made any decisions. We haven't had any presentations on, are we going to keep it for use? Are we going to keep it and lease it? Are we going to sell it? Anything like that. So we have not made any of those decisions at this time.
Okay.
Wide open at this point. Looking for a new municipal building? No, just
No.
kidding. Okay. thank you.
not need one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phyllis. Thank
for
you.
answering the questions. You too.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, so next on the agenda, we have 7 authorized letter to county commissioners regarding radio encryption. Gentlemen, you have a draft letter in front of you in support of retaining encryption of police radio communications. I know we've had some discussion as a board about this, and for safety reasons, the amount of type of personal information that's relayed over the radio. This letter, again, is in support of retaining encryption. I hope everyone's had a chance to take a look at it. If there's any comments or modifications, please let me know. Hutch, any additional comments on the letter?
I would say that we discussed this at the last Central Lancaster County COG meeting. And so the other members of the COG that were present asked if this letter could be shared with them. So assuming that the board would either modify and approve it or approve it, my intention would be to share it with them as well and see if they would also generate a similar letter from their municipality.
And the county commissioners are voicing support for potentially decrypting, removing the encryption.
Yes, there have been comments made that they're considering it as a step that they're willing to take potentially.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Just a comment from the conversations we had at the COG meeting, as well as, I mean, since we encrypted radio, I think it's been good. And as many of you gentlemen have been on ride-alongs with the police, I was on some prior to encryption, and there was definitely bad guys out with scanners listening in. It's a pretty common practice. So to remove that safety that the police have, I think it's unwise to do that at this point. So anything that we can do to encourage the commissioners to not backtrack would be good.
I think we all agree transparency is important, but there are methods and processes that, the public can get access to those transcriptions or the actual recordings. However, they would be delayed. You're not going to hear it, real time, which I think is the concern.
It'd be like if the public said, all right, we want the body camera live streamed or the dash cam live streamed. You have access to all of that information and data because that's public information, but you can't have it in real time so the bad guys know when they're coming through the front door. Because I mean, if the radio conversation can't be private, then what's it saying that the body camera can't be? To me, it's the same thing whether you're recording audio or visual. You're recording real-time communication to try to solve crime.
Okay, I'll accept the motion. We'll have additional comment, like.
I'll make a motion that we forward this, a letter to the Board of County Commissioners expressing our support for retaining encryption of all police radio communications across countywide communication systems.
Second. Me, second by Ethan. Any other board comments? Okay. Any other comments from the public? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Glenn?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ethan?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next we have 8A, the MS4 report, manager's report.
Thank you. Charlie Terra and I have been in the process of interviewing applicants for the stormwater coordinator position. So we're still in that process. And I think we're probably going to go into a second round of interviews to continue to screen to find the best candidate. As you know, the stormwater utility fee was billed along with the sanitary sewer charges in July. We have been fielding a number of phone calls from property owners about the fee, and we've been doing our best to address all their questions and help them through the process if they wish to appeal the fee or go for credits against the fee. So we're working to do that. Of course, if we can get a stormwater coordinator on board, that'll help relieve some of that stress. We had prepared some time ago, and I just had them update, I guess what I've been calling a scorecard for our pollution reduction efforts. And so, we continue to focus on trying to get those projects done. We have our permit through 23, so we've got to get some more pollution reducing projects in the ground before 23 is over, so we meet our obligations there. But if you have any questions about what's on that scorecard, let me know. Happy to address those anytime.
One thing that would be helpful on this, maybe I'm just reading it incorrectly, is having like, what's the goal? So for instance, the 558,974.96 for TSS suspended solids, is that, was the goal 600,000 or is it 550 or?
That number is the exact number that we have to reduce.
Oh, so that's what we have to,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So our actuals, we don't get that until,
Well, so the next line down is the Township Basins project that we did around here on the property. So
Yeah.
completion of that gave us credit of 19,280
got it. Okay.
in suspended solids.
Right. Okay.
And
So
20.
that's what the status. So complete, basically, we get credit for that full amount that we were asked to reduce.
Correct.
Okay.
That's these projects, based upon what you're doing and the size of it, it's basically a formula that DEP has that you just do a calculation, and
Right.
that's the value.
Got it. Right.
We're not really measuring anything in the water,
Right.
but that's the value that we're given as a credit.
Understood. Okay. Any other questions about MS4 report?
Just two quick comments. I do believe in our plan, we do have, it's not this year, but it's, I think, a year or two down the line, which is some actual measurement of that. So we can hopefully have a better leg to stand on to show that what we're doing is working. The second one is, if we're not aware, next week is Water Week in Lancaster, and there's no big group events planned, but everyone's encouraged to go out and clean up your creek. I'm going to be doing some, I'll call it micro cleanups with one or two people at a time. So y'all are invited if you want to come clean up some stuff starting Saturday.
I don't have, firsthand account of how we're doing as an entire community at this point, but I just know my own view on a weekly basis out the back door. And Ethan, can say the same thing at his back door. The creek does remain more clear for longer periods of the year than it used to. There's no doubt. It definitely does. It's probably the development and the retention basins as much as it is, contour farming or changing crops, all those things, but there are definitely periods where it's far, far more clear, that it had been at one time. The runoff, obviously we have 500 plus on lot systems. I think we've talked about that before. Is that, or are we there in any kind of concerted effort to address the olds or not?
We do need to put that program together for the documentation of people cleaning out their systems on a regular basis so that we have record of that. That's not something that's really factored into the MS4 program. So it's sort of assumed that's supposed to be going
You're
on.
addressing.
So in terms of getting credit for that, I don't believe we get anything in MS4 for that.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Also, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it would fall under, but you can get a credit for public participation. So if you went out and cleaned and documented and participated in the Lancaster Conservancy's Water Week, you could save up to 15% or more on your stormwater fee.
Yeah, if you apply for the credit and you go do that and you can document it, we can give you a credit. And we do, that's part of the MS4 permit. One of the minimum control measures is public participation and
Education too.
definitely
Yeah.
that all helps.
Okay.
Good.
Walnut Street Extension, Greater Lancaster Heritage Pathway.
Sure. I know the efforts with High Associates continue to put together a design. They have another submission going up to PennDOT in the next couple of weeks. The design includes the design of the Greater Lancaster Heritage Pathway on that stretch, that mile-long stretch of right-of-way. So that's continuing as well. We're still looking for the method of funding the construction for the pathway. So we continue to work on that and any opportunities that we can find for the pathway itself, as well as the amenities that would go along, trailheads and, other facilities that would normally go along with the pathway. So we're still looking for those sources. I do think that we're probably getting close to the point in the process where PennDOT's going to want to know who's going to own the path and who's going to maintain it. So, there'll be agreements and things that'll have to be put into place to cover those bases. So it's still moving forward.
I was just some more firsthand account of similar paths. Ethan's a biker I know, and I had relatives in town from all over the country over the past couple of days, and we took about 18 of us or so on Friday to the effort of Lidditz. If you haven't used it, you should. I mean, I know that there are concerns with social distancing on even in parks and things, but everybody that I see is handling themselves well on those paths. I use them almost every weekend, and that was packed on Friday. And then on Saturday, we did the Columbia to Bainbridge, and I know they're preparing to get some additional funds, I think, to pave North Bainbridge.
I know they've been working on that. I haven't heard whether they got the dollars for it yet.
Okay. I thought I read something where they did. That on Saturday was amazing. The people. I mean, every single weekend that I use those. I mean, since March 19th, I've been on that Columbia one to Bainbridge 4 times. The Lidditz one 3 times. The one from E-Town up to Lebanon, I stopped in Mount Gretna. I've done that one once with family. I tell them, in families in town, I said, oh my gosh, we're going to, hopefully have something on the goat path. And it's all siblings who lived in the area. And they said, oh my gosh, the goat path has been there all our lives, I know the expense, and I think we have to be able to justify those kinds of investments to the community. I don't know the ROI that Columbia to Bainbridge has, but it's just amazing to see the people that are using that. The restaurants in Marietta I know when we go by them, that, the bikes are out front, or, people are going in. And so overall, it'd be great to see that kind of amenity in the community here. But, we need to do it in a way that I would have to be able to look at my neighbors and, justify that kind of an expense, with something. But I think of the visitor population in East Lampeter, Greenfield, the Pennsylvania College of Health Sciences. I know Eurofins, their public relations sustainable officer, I forget her name, but she's talked to Jim Bennett a couple of times. Jim says, hey, they're definitely wanting to be involved in something. So there is enough around it to, I think, that would make it attractive. So whatever we can do.
Yeah, agree. Anything else? I'm sorry.
Nope, that was it for me.
I failed to mention the census. Thank you to Lancaster Newspapers and Lynn for putting in a plug at our last meeting, but I'll repeat again. Please fill out the 2020 census. This will be the last mailing that goes to households, and then I know census takers will visit homes, door to door, essentially. PA, the response rate for all of Pennsylvania is 65.8%. All of Lancaster County is 74.5. East Lampeter is lagging at 72.9 compared to the county. Our neighbors to the north, Upper Laycock, is at 73.9, and West Lampeter is at 80.5%. So, please encourage your neighbors to complete the census. And that's all I had. Any other comments from the board? Any other comments from the public? Okay. Anything, Hutch? Nope. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Accept a motion to adjourn from Ethan.
Second?
Second from Dave. Any other comments? Okay, we'll do a voice roll call. Glenn?
Aye.
Okay, Dave?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, motion passes. We're adjourned. Thank you so much.